Another interesting development in recent years has been the institution of summer schools or seminars where teachers and young workers in different fields of studies, whether it be science or humanities, can get together and live together only for a certain period, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and attempt a say of the advances made in their field of study. The summer schools have proved to be one of the most fruitful developments which we have had in recent times, and I have heard myself from the most distinguished scientists and others that their participation in those summer schools has brought in to their notice many developments of which they were unaware. Here, I am happy to say that the two ministries which I am associated have both been cooperating and both have taken an initiative in the matter. Since 1989, the summer schools have been largely increasing, and the University Grants Commission during the current year is subsidizing and helping a very large number of summer schools. Then there has been the very important question about the 3 year degree course. This is a matter on which discussions have been going on in this country for over 40 years, and the consensus of opinion without almost a single expectation has been that the 3 year degree course is the only type of degree course which we should introduce at the undergraduate level. There have been differences as to whether this degree course should be introduced after 11 years of schooling or after 12 years of education or even after 10 years of education. There may be some difference on that point, but that the degree course as such, the structure of the course should be 3 years is almost universally admitted. I will not go into the arguments that were given by the University Education Commission, not only the University Education Commission over which Dr. Radhakrishnan, our former president, presided and of which you were, sir, a very distinguished member, but the University Grants Commission, starting which the Kothari Commission in 1947-48 said that all over the world there is the tendency that the university's first degree should not be less than 3 years. In many countries, for example in the United Kingdom, today there is the move for making the honors course a 4 year degree course. I know that on the continent and in certain of the Arab countries like the UAR, they are planning in terms of a 5 year degree course. But in any case, 3 years seems to be the minimum. Here, if I may say so, to my mind, at times we have not, in approaching the problem, considered properly one of the most relevant considerations, that is, the question of age. We debate about a 10-year secondary education or a 12-year secondary education, but unless we assure that only young men and women come to the universities and not children or people who are in their early adolescence, nothing can be done about standards. It is not an accident that throughout the world the age of entry in the universities is normally 18, and in many countries they are trying to raise it to 19. So far as the continent of Europe is concerned, in many cases it is 20 or over. In Germany, it is very often 21. But I do not know of any country in the world excepting India and the erstwhile part of undivided India, Pakistan, where the age of entry is 14, 15 or 16 years. It is true that the University Grants Commission have made a welcome move in that direction. In the field of technical education, about 2 or 3 years ago, we took a decision that 16 plus will be the minimum age of entry for institutions of university standing. And the universities also, the University Grants Commission, have now decided that 16 plus should be the minimum age for entry into universities, and they have made this recommendation to all universities of India. Till that point is decided, all discussions about the 10-year, 11-year, or 12-year course in schools are, to my mind, unreal and artificial. I remember on one occasion when this question was being discussed, a representative of a state government said that no change in his state was necessary because it already had a 12-year secondary school course. And when I asked him as to what was the average age at which pupils took the final school certificate examination, I was told that it varied between 14 and 16. My comment on that was that if we had a 12-year course and the course ended at the age of 14 or 15, it means that the course must have started at the age of 2 or 3. I said that why we should not go a step further and say that we should have a 16-year course. I should like to say that the question of state public service commissions cannot be ignored. The state public commissions are appointed by the governor. Now we are thinking in terms of the emotional integration of the country. The term emotional integration has become a familiar one in this country. If you want to have real emotional integration, then being with the services. I see no reason why the requiting authority for the services should be the government of the state in which the services will serve. The public service commissions will enjoy greater authority, will enjoy greater prestige, and will enjoy greater independence if they are appointed by the president, that is to say, the central government. That is an aspect on which I would like to lay stress. This suggestion was recommended by the State Reorganization Commission, but I do not know why any consideration has not been given to it. Then I am happy to find that the scheduled castes have been able to get their quota this year. This shows that given the opportunity, the scheduled castes can render a good account of themselves. Educational opportunities should be provided to enable the scheduled caste candidates to complete to compete on terms of equality with the other sections of the community, and I am glad that the Commission has been able to record that this year the full quota was filled up by the scheduled caste candidates. Then I would like to say a few words about the personality test. I have not the capacity to speak with that learning which my friend has displayed on this question. He has spoken with an ability which commands respect. I think that common sense should tell us that the personality test does not always work in favor of the poor man. I take the middle of the road attitude in this matter. I am not prepared to do away with the personality test altogether. By this personality test, you can judge a man's capacity for repartee, you can judge his quickness of comprehension, and you can judge his general ability to comprehend a question quickly. But it is not an infallible test. You can test a man's efficiency, but you cannot test a man's personality. I think that the number of marks allotted for the personality test is high. I would reduce that number to 200 for the personality test. I would reduce the figure to 200 or 250 for the viva voce test or the oral test. I think there should be a personality test but with reduced marks. I think that it is difficult to work out a scheme by which you will have a personality test of candidates knowing Hindi or regional languages. There must be one common language in which the personality test is held. That I think is one aspect I would like to emphasize. The work of the Union Public Service Commission will increase in the years to come. Two more services were added this year, and they are the Indian Economic Service and the Indian Statistical Service. Three other services which are going to be handed over to them are the All India Health and Medical Service, the All India Engineering Service, and the All India Forest Service. There may be, for aught we know, an All India Education Service. The work of the Commission, therefore, is likely to increase. Therefore, it follows that the number of members will have to be increased. The work of the Commission must not be allowed to fall into arrears. Then I would like to say that the report gives us a picture of our services organization in this country. Services are important for the successful functioning of democracy, and our services have to learn that while they have a right to independent expression of opinion in confidential notes and files, it is their duty to carry out the policy of the government of the party, whichever party is in power. The Union Public Service Commission has maintained high standards in this respect. It has kept itself aloof from political controversies, and it is desirable that the personnel of the Commission should not be such personnel as will not command respect. I would like to support the suggestion that there should be a woman member on the Union Public Service Commission. Women have played a prominent high part in the public life of this country. They have held high offices in our country, and there is no reason why there should be no women member on the Public Service Commission. There must be about 20 or 30 crores of women in this country. Surely, among them, one or two women can be found to work on this commission. We have expected socialism and democracy as our objectives. We are a democratic country, and we have to achieve a socialist society at the earliest possible time. Parties will come to power and they will vanish, but the administrative structure which is to implement the policies of parliament should be efficient.